Well, it's great to see everybody. We're happy to be at home in front of our fans again. Of course, a big week, having 2 home games. No game more important than the next one against North Texas. Had a chance after our last game just to constantly trying to get better. And in practice yesterday and getting focused towards North Texas, but just our overall maturation and how we continue to progress of being able to just root ourselves in the things that we can control, move on to the next play, and just be able to go from there on both the offensive and defensive end. But encouraged by some things saw in practice yesterday. We've got to have another good practice today because North Texas is a very good, gritty, hard-playing defensive team that's efficient on offense. And so this is going to be a very challenging game because North Texas is – they pose challenges in every game they play, so we're going to have to be ready to go. Dan?
You've had a couple games on the road now recently where you've given up 100 points. Is there something on defense you see as a red flag? Is it the other teams are also really good at shooting? What can you attest that to?
Yeah, those 2 particular games, I think there's definitely things that we need to get better. Let's start with the things that we can control. I thought some of our poor offense spilled into us mentally, not recovering very quickly, and against teams that are good. And FAU is really good on offense. They're rated the 11th best team in the country. You make a mistake, and a mistake could be just not taking a step back on defense quick enough, they can make you pay. And so there was some of that. I also think there were some things that FAU did really, really well and played exceptionally good basketball. So we needed to slow down a little bit more. We tried to attack fire with fire on the offensive end some, and we're trying to be aggressive. But absolutely, there's some things that we need to do better, but then also need to give some credit to those teams too for playing really well.
And then with this game tomorrow, we've seen how you guys like to play fast, and North Texas is one of the slowest teams in the country. How much is dictating pace and playing your game going to result in what happens tomorrow night?
Well, we have to do it intelligently. We have to be opportunistic with pace and tempo and pushing the basketball. It's very challenging to speed up a team that plays slow. And where North Texas plays slow is really on the offensive end. They are really deliberate. We've got to battle the endurance mentally and being able to have stamina on the defensive end of saying, hey, we got to be in a stance, we got to be able to guard all these different actions, and then we got to know when they're looking to strike. And because if you don't, they will break you. They just have a way of mentally breaking teams that aren't prepared to do that. It's challenging, but we're not going to be able to get them just to play fast on offense. Nobody does that. It's going to be a battle of wills, but we've got to be opportunistic that when we get a stop, we recognize numbers, the floor, and when we can attack early.
So we talked earlier this year about the schedule and how you guys didn't really have to travel till later. Now you're kind of in that point where, you've got a few more kind of faraway games. What has that been like with this team and seeing how they travel?
Yeah, traveling is the toughest thing. You look across college basketball and just if you watch scores each night and you see how challenging it is to win on the road. But travel also is one of those things. It's a great time for our team to get to know each other and spend time together, from dinners to meetings to discussions to just different things happening. And so we embrace that and embrace the challenge of going on the road. And we've had some close moments. We've had, of course, the win last weekend, the weekend before last, and we just got to keep pushing. But, of course, what's in front of us is a great home game tomorrow, and that's where our focus is at. We're going to have all we can handle with a really good North Texas team, and looking forward to our fans coming out here again and supporting us.
I know you're talking about tomorrow's game. Can I talk about Saturday's game real quick and just about what that was like? You guys still scored 70 points. What good can you take from that game and apply it to tomorrow's game?
So in our film session yesterday with the team, we talked about I asked them, and of course you think of the end result as a player and know that it really got away from us. And I asked them, I said, with 10 minutes to go in the first half, anybody remember what the score was? And when, I won't say who, but one of our younger guys, I think we were down by 10. Well, we were up by 1. And that's the feeling you get in the overall picture that FAU came out of the gates and really, played well from the start. Well, we were ahead by 1. It was a little bit of a grinder game. And then they took advantage of a couple things back to back. And I felt like it didn't break our spirits, but it knocked us back a little bit, and it took us a little while to recover. And against a team, especially with the experience of FAU, you just can't allow that to happen. And they were able to extend the lead, and it became very challenging. But we focused on the things that we could control. I thought that we were able to find some spots and make some plays. It was a high possession game. There were 79 possessions in the game. And we've got to be able to defend better. That's the bottom line.
Defending better, just on that note, you guys, like you mentioned earlier, do play quick, and so you practice, I'm sure, playing quick. How hard is it to adjust and defend for a full shot clock on the defensive end? You mentioned how they, not stall, but they run the shot clock down pretty much every possession. How difficult is that, like in football, trying to guard a receiver for a long time with a wide open pocket? Like, how hard is that to do when you're defending a shot clock every time for 30 seconds? Yeah,
it's challenging. I mean, they have played a very distinct style like this for some years now. I'm very familiar with it. Now, I'll share this with our group. The last time I coached against them was in the conference tournament. We were down 10-2 with 9 minutes to go in the first half. And we ended up winning the game 42-36. And that was a team that played quick too, and a team that scored the basketball. And you've got to be able to play a variety of styles because, and I think it's the beautiful thing about this game, there's so many different ways to do it. And North Texas has been very successful with the style that they're very gritty on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, not to turn the basketball over, use the clock, crash the glass really, really hard. And they're unique in that. And so we've got to be able to have the stamina to be able to not just guard the whole clock, but also battle any type of adversity. If you guard the whole clock, you give up an offensive rebound because they're top 25 in the country in doing that, and then being able to reset yourself and say, okay, I just got to do it again. And it's challenging.
So put any added pressure on you on the offensive end, making sure you're getting good looks because the possession count is a little bit lower, or is it still playing just a normal offense?
No, they're different that way too. They're a side defensive team. They really rally to the ball. They're trying to take away. They're very good at guarding the two. And so you've got to be able to play on 2 feet and under control and pick your spots. You've got to maximize each possession. I was telling the team when in our FAU game there were 79 possessions. When FAU played North Texas, there was only 60. So you're cutting off a quarter of your possessions right there, and you just got to be able to maximize each one.
Spencer? Been around college basketball for a long time. Have you ever seen or ever coached another player that had 9 Freshman of the Week awards?
I'd have to look back. Junior Lofton was the last freshman of the year I had at Louisiana Tech, and he was up there. I don't know if he won. I mean, PJ's on a – you'd have to look this up. That's for, Jared, DT. I don't know if you guys have historical numbers, but, it's quite the run as a freshman. And, I've been fortunate to have 2 other freshmen of the year in my time, but to have this type of impact of the type of numbers that he's putting up and the impact on the game is pretty special.